Okay, welcome back. We are ACI Course 12, Class 7, on April 17th, 2026. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, and see them there with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Learning about emptiness and karma, we glimpse how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And that longing into an intention. And with our intention strong, we turn our minds back to our precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please, please teach me that. Show me that. Help me become that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the pure world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamiryatvayam. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings totally awaken for the benefit of every single other. All right. So we're working on the perfection of wisdom chapter this course, which means we're trying to understand the nuances of what Buddha meant when he said nothing has any nature. All those things I taught you about existing things before, you know what? None of them have any nature. And ordinary, ignorant mind hears that and might think, well, is he really saying that they don't exist at all? And that can't be. They can't both exist and not exist. And so what's really meant by no nature? And so, right, our training career as Buddhists is to investigate what he meant, like intellectually have somebody teach us. But then our task is to recognize our own way of interacting with our day-to-day life to see, like, where is it that I'm still interacting with others from this belief that they have something in them from them that's not merely only ripening results of my own karma, right? We hear the punchline, we know the punchline. But come on, when push comes to shove, no, and that person cuts us off in traffic. I don't know about you, but it takes me a minute or two to remember, oh, all my projections. So that's because we just are so imbued with our innate seeds for believing things are the way they appear. And the way they appear is driven by those innate seeds. So it's really like we're pushing against a brick wall. Our own mind is the brick wall. Not because there's something in it that's wrong, but because it's being forced by projections that are colored by the misunderstanding that believes it's the right understanding. So we're trying to like wiggle our way into our own ignorant mind to show it that how I believe things happen can't be true, and and explain what happens to me. Like it really feels absurd when we're starting to get this glimpse of how mistaken we are before we know we're mistaken. Because, right, if you don't know you're making a mistake, you think you're right. So anyway, that's where we are. And we had gotten to the place of talking about our own me, our own self. You know what? My own self has no nature. Yeah. And it's like my own self goes, what? I do so have a nature. Here I am. Right. That's all I really know is me. I'm unique to me. But then I have to admit, it's like absurdly, I think there's a me that's unique to me. It's always the same me. But like that can't be because every one of you knows me differently. Yeah, well, you can't know me like I know me. But does that mean you don't know the real me? No, I'm real for you. So it's really slippery. And so we go through all these different details of how to explore things. And then we can get lost in the forest and forget what it is we're really trying to figure out. So last class, we were looking at the basic building blocks of our physical body. And the theory is that if my physical body has some existence, not simply my projection moment by moment, it has some nature of its own, then I should be able to prove my case that it has that nature because I should be able to find some piece of it that declares itself as my body. So we went looking for the smallest physical particle that could be making up my body. Only we talked about it as the smallest physical particle that makes up our material world at all, which is actually saying the same thing. So we went looking for an atom because that's what science says, something like an atom, some indivisible smallest particle that if you put multiple ones together, voila, you have this. And if we can't find a smallest physical particle that exists there, you can't put two of them together, or three or four bazillion. And so we're supposed to go, oh, I see. There's no such thing as the smallest particle. But then the tendency is to think, oh, so they're saying there's no particles at all, which is not what we were saying. We will always find something smaller that's getting a label when we're looking for the smallest particle. We never find nothing, but we finally find there's never the thing there that I'm looking for. And we go, oh, that's because the thing I'm looking for depends upon my mind finding it, right? Projecting it. And even science says that the particle acts as a wave or a point, depending on who's looking or depending on when you're looking. So it's like we know that. But then the question is, why? Why does my mind force this particle versus that particle versus this one versus this one? And then we jump right to the chase and say, oh, because it's karma. But there's a big gap between nothing is anything but the way I perceive it. The way I perceive it makes it. And it's karma making me do that. So, right, we've been addressing that little by little. So we came to the conclusion there can't be any self-existent part to my body, which means my body as a whole can't be a self-existent whole. If my body's made of parts and the parts are all projections, then the whole has to be projections too. And it's like, am I convinced of that? I watch my own mind and it's like, wait a minute, why does that follow? And to answer that question, we'd have to go back and do our course 12 again, which I've done many times. So then we went to same for our mind, because we said we can break our me down into two parts, my mind and my body. And we did the same thing for mind. What's the basic building block of mind? A moment of consciousness. Is there a moment of consciousness there? And then it's aware of something. In which case we should be able to find that moment of awareness sitting there waiting to become aware of something. And we find when we go looking for that single moment, we can find the beginning, the middle, the end of it. And oh man, I can't find that self-existent piece of my mind that gets put together to become my mind. Does that mean I have no mind at all? No. I'm aware that's something I've experienced constantly. So last class, we went through all of that. It took us 2 classes to do it. Then Master Shantideva says, maybe we're not convinced yet that there's no self-existent me. He says there's another way to go into it, and that is to break our me down into more specific parts. The parts that Lord Buddha described to us in order to help us better understand why we react to our experiences in the way that we do. Meaning, why we react automatically in circumstances, and that by reacting automatically, we are replanting our mental imprint seeds in the same old way. And so we're perpetuating the same old experiences. They'll never be identical. We can't experience the same thing twice because we've changed by the time we experience something. Seeds will grow, but we're perpetuating the same pattern. So if my habit is to react with criticism to somebody who's criticizing me, and I keep letting myself do that, I keep reacting in that way, believing that that's the proper way to react. Because most of the time it works. They criticize me, I criticize them, they back off. That's the pattern. So we do it, even though lots of times it doesn't work at all. They just get mad. And it goes from being criticized, right, to being yelled at. And then, right, you know the pattern. We all have our own, right? Being criticized doesn't seem to be mine, but it's one that I'm like terrified of. And yet my mind, not my mouth, but my mind still criticizes. Oh, why haven't they fixed that in that yard? Why isn't, right? It doesn't do it so much anymore, but I recognize it from my pre-Dharma career inside here. Constant picking away at something. So Master Shantideva says we can also look for our me in the 5 heaps. So that's where we ended last class. We learned about the 5 heaps. The heap of form, meaning our physical body at one level. Later on, our heap of form, we will recognize includes any material thing in our experience. But for right now, let's just call it our body. And then the heap of feeling, not emotions, just the thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs neutral, which is that in any given experience, we have this seemingly subtle, but apparently not so subtle urge to be attracted to it. If it's a thumbs up, that's what thumbs up mean. Ooh, going towards it. And this automatic thumbs down, which means we're being repulsed by it. And then with that, hot on the heels of that, but almost simultaneous, not this one causes that one, but it's all happening. There's the discrimination between things. This versus that. If it's thumbs up, I like it, I want it, that's mine, or I'm going to get it, I'm going to do this, right? The story starts. The discriminating starts the story. It's not the story. It's just telling the difference between things. That's an actual mental function. It's a heap, meaning it's a pile of a whole bunch of different stuff. Then the 4th one we learned was the all the other things that aren't in the other 4. And the 5th one is all the different kinds of consciousnesses we possess. So we left off last class with that piece. So in this heap number 4, all the other factors that make us up. Wait, I got ahead of myself. On your quiz, there was a question about, so then what does make up the building blocks of me and my world? If it's not anything in my body and it's not anything in my mind, what is the basic building blocks? And the basic building blocks of our reality is kindness, which still, it like rocks my boat to hear it said, because kindness is just an idea. How can an idea be the building block of our tangible world? But it's because the imprint that we make with kindness outprints as something pleasurable, something thumbs up. And to just exist is thumbs up. Not that there's a choice of existing or not existing, but it's a positive thing to exist, no matter how much suffering is in it. So that means we might decide at some point that we would choose kindness as our guiding factor, because that's the building block of all existence. And, we'll go on to see that, oh my gosh, I really am the creator of my world in the moments of my actions towards others. I'm not creating my experience in the moment they happen, although technically we are. But it's not that I can create in the moment, right? To say I need an orange right now and have it show up. It is possible. Some people can do it. But that's not what's so important. Who cares if you can manifest an orange when you need it? It's like, can we manifest kindness when we need that? Especially when something's unkind in our own immediate experience. And that's where the training comes in. Okay, so back to all the other factors that make me up. They say that there are 44 mental functions in this heap of all the other factors that make me up. Not only, right? Because within those 44 mental functions, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. But 44 basic mental functions in the heap number 4. But if we have been trained, we would go, wait a minute. Abhidharma Kosha says there are 46 mental functions. And Mind Only School says there's, 52 mental functions. And it's like, does Master Shantideva not know what he's talking about? Or what's going on here? So the point being, there are 2 mental functions, 45 and 46, that seem to not be in all the other factors that make me up. So where are they? And Master Shantideva points out that Lord Buddha separated out 2 of the 46 mental afflictions to be their own heaps. Those 2 are feeling, it's a mental function, and discriminating between things. Those should be in all the other factors that make us up. Form, consciousness, everything else. But in the of everything else, these 2 factors, this automatic thumbs up, thumbs down, and this is good, this is bad, I like him, I don't like that, I want this, I don't want that. That's a tree, that's a bicycle, technically. Those 2 are the root cause of all conflict in our lives, all conflict in the world. Those 2 are the cause of all of our suffering lives. All of our suffering in every life is caused by these 2. Like, no, it's caused by our ignorance. Right. And our ignorance is perpetuated within these 2. And these 2 are what trigger the automatic reaction that perpetuates the whole thing. So if we left them lumped in with all the other mental factors, like my jealousy, my criticism, my joy, my love, right? All of those emotions, we would miss the subtlety of their power. If we want to get off automatic pilot, it's really helpful to become keenly aware of these 2 mental functions that are going on constantly. Our jealousy isn't constant. These 2 are. So they get their own heap, not because there's something separate somewhere, but because it's functional to recognize them and develop a new relationship with our feeling and discriminating. We're not going to try to stop it because we can't stop it. Even as Buddhas, we will feel and discriminate. but we'll do it in a pure way instead of an ignorant way. Right? So the third reason that they're separated out doesn't really sound like a reason, but the third factor is they relate to the sequence of the heaps. So when we get taught the heaps, we're taught we have the heap of form, the heap of feeling, the heap of discriminating, the heap of all the other factors that make me up, and the heap of consciousness. And they're always taught in that order, not that they arrive in that order or that we experience them in that order, but the heap of form is the most obvious. They use the term gross versus subtle, not gross ick, although it has that component, but obvious. Our most obvious part of our experience is the form, our physical. And mostly our physical world is experienced through vision and tactile, right? We have the others as well, but those are the two main ones. So form is the most obvious, the most gross. Then feeling is the second most gross. And it's like, really? Because it doesn't seem obvious until we learn about it, until we start looking for it. And then, oh my gosh, I can't really go from this to that without being motivated by the level of the thumbs up or thumbs down, right? And then technically the thumbs up, thumbs down can be thumbs up physical, thumbs down physical, thumbs up mental, thumbs down mental. So it's like if you've got both of those going on, there's an aspect to our moment by moment existence that's just this towards a right. And I guess once we get tuned in, it becomes more and more obvious because it's only slightly less obvious than our physical. See how overriding our physical is that we can't really even see it until we know to look for it. Then next in subtlety is this mental function of telling the difference between things. So because we're thumbs up, we go towards something that something has to have an identity. And so we recognize. Like even ignorantly, not even ignorantly, we're recognizing the thing that I have the thumbs up because that thing's pleasurable. The thumbs up feeling is coming from it. So I want that. And then through all of that, my consciousnesses are going on because I'm experiencing it maybe visually, maybe auditorily, however. So consciousness is happening. That's the most subtle, which doesn't seem so subtle, but only because I've spent years working with Mahamudra, right? Making it my task to be aware of my aware. Now it's like, how can you not be aware if you're aware? But I remember when I couldn't even find it in my Mahamudra practice. What does she mean by awareness? It seems so absurd to me now, but being aware of aware is the most subtle factor. And in between those is all those emotions that happen as a result of the thumbs up identifying then, right, our opinions about those things, our reactions to those things, what we believe we should do to get the thing or avoid the thing, right? Our heap of all the other factors that make us up. It's not just 44 things. It's our reactions, our beliefs, our, right, everything. So these two, feeling and discriminating between things, when they continue to happen ignorantly, meaning believing it's the object of my experience that's making me thumbs up, making it be pleasant or unpleasant, then it's those two factors that make me fight with that object, that make me choose an action trying to get the object for myself or push it away. And if I'm not understanding the component of how, when I interact with that other, I'm imprinting my mind in such a way that someday I'm going to experience something happening to me similarly. When I don't understand that, I believe that what I've been trained to do as an adult human to get what I want or avoid what I don't want will work to get what I want and avoid what I don't want. And although many times it doesn't work, so many times it does work that we don't question until we get a really big one that's supposed to work and doesn't work, that makes us question. And all the little times that it does work is like when you grab the doorknob, turn it and pull, and the door opens. That's reinforcing the belief that what I do in the moment brings what comes next. How often do we do stuff like that? Mostly, right? Mostly life works. See what goodness we have? It's really an extraordinary goodness that every time we open a door, it actually opens. Because it doesn't always, right? Sometimes you've got that sticky door. And then our mind goes, oh, the frame is swollen. We make a reason. So we don't doubt our conclusion. Wait, maybe this isn't what opens doors. Because it doesn't happen once. And so we continue to fool ourselves and miss this opportunity to recall, wow, that's amazing. I have amazing goodness that my door opened. I have amazing goodness that the car started. Instead, right, what do our minds do? I'm not good enough, right? I can never do this well enough. I know my own mind. Anyway, so feeling and discriminating. If we could work with our awareness of those two factors that are supposedly more obvious than our anger and our jealousy, then we could get ourselves off automatic pilot. And if we have this other factor about what kind of behavior we're wanting to choose instead, already sort of outlined, which is what our vows are about, then we get off the automatic pilot and we start choosing different responses to our day-to-day experiences in training for when we've got the less common but more unpleasant big blow-ups, right? When the boss is yelling, if we only try to work on our feeling and discrimination when we're being yelled at, and we only get yelled at once a month, we only get a chance to work with feeling and discriminating once a month. Not that we should wish to get yelled at more often, but we can work with our feeling and discriminating in other places, right? Just anywhere that we find ourselves wanting something and so thinking what I'm going to do next is going to get it for me, and reminding ourselves of what's happening. So in this chapter, the Master Shantideva, he doesn't go into the details, but he mentions this practice called Drempa Nirshakshi. Let's get, which is called the Four Close Recollections. There. Okay, here's our heap suk sorwa, dushe duje namche. Drampa near shakshi. She means four. Near shak means to place our mind closely. And Drampa is the word from meditation, recollection, the ability to hold our mind on our object. When we're first training our Drampa, we really are bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. But then when Drampa is full on, our mind stays on and it won't even go off anymore. So it's the same idea, but it doesn't mean that you're doing this exercise without ever going off your object, although I hope at some point we do get to that point. So it is a meditation practice, but it's an analytical practice of looking deeply for that self-existence in these four factors to show ourselves, hopefully eventually directly, that there is no such thing as the self-existent nature of that object. Again, we're not looking to prove that those objects don't exist at all, because that's not right. That's not the conclusion. We're looking for the what's in them from them that makes them thumbs up or thumbs down. Because we want it to be there to justify our thumbs up, thumbs down, discriminating between, so we can justify our opinion about the thing, so that we can justify our reaction to get it or avoid it. When we understand where the thumbs up, thumbs down is actually coming from, then that whole sequence of needing to get, needing to avoid changes. You don't become like a robot. Doesn't matter what happens to me. It's that we see that if I want more thumbs up, right, how I plant the seeds in my mind to be forced to have nothing but thumbs up. All right, so the four that we Drempa near shucks is Lu, Sorwa, Sam, and Chu. Lu means body. Sorwa is feelings. Same. Sam is mind. And Chu is object, which again, when we talk about objects, we might be talking about our physical body as an object, the parts of our physical body as an object, and we can be talking about the pens and tables and bicycles and doors and cars and grocery stores. And we can be talking about the object of our experience, which could be another person, could be a thought, could be an emotion. Do you see? So they start to like intertwine a bit, but to learn the method, we use the obvious factors, and then as we practice with it, if one were to do that, you can see how they start to blur, all of them. So each one has steps that you go through in this analysis, looking for the self nature that we believe is there, to show ourselves that it actually isn't there, can't be there, is impossible. So Geshe only went through body and feeling, but in the process, he shows us the method. And then he goes on to other stuff. And we don't, in the ACI, I don't recall that we ever get back to working with these for close recollections specifically. I think you can find them in Pabonka Rinpoche's liberation text, although I haven't studied that deeply. And the four close recollections does come up later. And when we did the Heart Sutra practice module, those that were there for the retreat, I used these in our explanation during our practice sessions, but I didn't actually call them this. So we've had a little bit of exposure to it. It could make a really interesting, week or 2 week personal retreat to take one of these, right, practices in and explore it a little bit. I've never done that, but it's the kind of thing that this tradition, right, puts out in that way. Okay, so the practice is called the deep awareness of body, the deep awareness of feelings, the deep awareness of mind, and the deep awareness of things, objects, anything not in the other three. And what the deep awareness means is to go looking for the thing we think gets the label, only to find something more subtle getting the label. Thus, to find that the label identifies the thing and the label is forced on us by something, only to find that the label is forced on us as a result of some cause, to find that the cause had to be in our mind because the result is in our mind. And the way that cause got in there was by way of how I perceived myself seeing, interacting with the other. All right, it brings us full circle. So the deep awareness of body practice has 3 steps that brings us to the conclusion the body does not exist in the way that I thought. It exists by way of my projections. Like, that's the punchline. We go through these analytical steps, and the description, you'll see in your homework and reading, the description of the step is the description of the conclusion that we come to from the step. So it's not like the steps are first do this, then do that, but do what will bring you to this conclusion. So the first one says, we're close recollecting our body. So it says, you decided the whole body and its parts have no self-nature. They have no nature of their own in them from them. So it doesn't mean you just sit down on your cushion and decide, okay, my body and its parts have no nature. We investigate to come to that conclusion. That's the first step. So we already did that in the last class or the class before that, where we went looking for the basic building block. But we could do that in a more stepwise fashion. You look, my body as a whole. On one level, am I looking to see whether it's Sarani's body? That's easy to show me that it's not Sarani's body as a whole, because if it was, anybody who saw it walking down the street, hey, Sarani, a lot of people in my neighborhood do that, but not everybody, and not the bug, and not the coyote, right? Not the fly. So it can't be Sarani in it from it. It must be coming from something in the mind of the observer. Hey, wait, I'm an observer too. Okay, then. Something about this body as me must be dependent upon my awareness of it to be it. Like that becomes pretty obvious. And then as I even say it, I think to myself, yeah, but it's still my body. It's not anybody else's body. And I can't just sit here and think of being in somebody else's body and then their body's my body. There is something about it that's unique to me, right? So then we go looking for that. And whatever your own mind would say, okay, what could that be? Then you look at that and you see, well, would everybody experience it the same way? That one doesn't work so much because by the time I get to my own unique experience of my body, not even the fly lands on that. That's purely my experience. But already I'm showing myself that that unique experience of my body is a mental thing. But even as I say that, I think, yeah, but the body's not a mental thing. The body's a physical thing. Well, but if it was, then any other mental thing that experiences this body would experience it in the same way as me. And that's ridiculous. Only I do. But do you see what our minds do? Yeah, that's what makes it my body, is it's unique to me. And wisdom says, right, get it? And ignorance says, right, get it? So we have to go deeper. Both think they're right. So then we can say, okay, what about this stuff being a body? What makes those elements come together to make a body instead of a log? Is there something in the body that makes it alive? All right, all these different ways we can investigate. We come to the conclusion this body that I experience is my projection of a body, and that's what makes it a real body. But then check your own mind. My projection, like I project a picture on a wall. It doesn't make the Grand Canyon there. I can't walk into the picture on the wall and be at the Grand Canyon. But you're saying I can project my body and be in it? Yes, actually. Because the projection of the Grand Canyon on the wall is a projection of a picture of the Grand Canyon versus the projection of the Grand Canyon that I could walk down into. Same. So once we recognize that my whole body has no nature, right? Can make it easier, no nature of its own, but technically no nature. And the parts of it have no nature. Then what is there has some nature that has something to do with the way that I'm experiencing it. And if I don't like the way I experience my body, why don't I just change it? I can't wish it into changing, but I can create it into something different because I'm already creating it, creating it, creating it, creating it. So let's just figure out how to create it into Buddha, me and Buddha paradise emanating. Thank you very much. If our body was made of self-existent atoms, we couldn't change it. Thank goodness it's not. So once we come to this conclusion, oh, my body has no nature, so it doesn't have to be the way it is. It is the way it is, but it doesn't have to be like that in the future. Step number 2 is, therefore, it's mistaken to feel attachment to this body because it's just like a dream. So when we come to the conclusion, my body is projected, 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 then this attachment that we have for it, it's my body. I want to take care of it. The better I take care of it, the better it'll feel. The more I will like it, the more I'll like being in it, the better I can use it, the longer I can live, the more enjoyment I can have, right? All of those are not technically wrong reasons to take care of our body. But what, of course, can happen is because we're thinking of it in the wrong way with our ignorant minds, we have this attachment to its needs and wants as being critically important, not just for our survival, but for our pleasure and happiness. And so it seems to force us to make its needs most important in obvious and subtle ways. And he says, when we recognize that our body is projected results of our past behavior moment by moment by moment, then this very real waking body becomes like a dream body. So we can be in our dream, and in the dream we're, I don't know, Miss America or something. And then when we wake up, we go, oh, well, that was fun, but it was just a dream, nothing real about it. I don't stay attached to being Miss America in this life because I for sure am not. So you just drop it and go on. He's saying, look, this seemingly very real body has no more reality to it than the dream body. Not meaning someday we'll wake up and this body will be gone, although that will happen, but meaning our attachment to this body is as useful as staying attached to your Miss America body when you're not in your dream anymore. Like going out in your world, I'm really Miss America because I was in my dream. And it's like, we wouldn't do that, but we do that with our I'm me and this very, very subtle me, that ignorance forces us to do we don't even notice. And I'm not saying we're bad people because of it. We're suffering beings. If you are, I don't know about you, but I know I am. So wrong conclusion is, oh, that's so terrible. I am relating to my body as if I'm a dream body and I can't help it and I'll never get this right. That's not the conclusion. The conclusion is, oh, wow, I can relate to this body in a different way. It really doesn't have this solid suffering me reality. It does have it in the moment. That's what I'm experiencing, but it could change at any moment. Karmic seeds are changing, 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 changing. Act like plant my seeds differently, and my experiences will be different. It's already happening. We are different moment by moment. So, like at some point, give yourself permission to really change. When we can relate to our own emptiness, the possibilities for change really expand. When we're still relating to our no self-existent me, I'm really this me, this personality, this body, everything. Even as we say, I'm doing my seeds differently, some part of us is saying, nah, right? It's not really going to change. So somewhere along the line, sit down on your meditation cushion, have a chat with your angel, and tell them to what extent you believe you can change. Yeah. Let them show you that you can change. Right? We did that in Bokjimpa class. All right. Because I understand this body doesn't have any nature, oh, to be attached to it is like being attached to a dream body. Third step. So therefore, my me has no nature either. How do we get there? Step one, find that your body has no nature of its own, the whole and the parts. So ditch your attachment to your body. And as a result of those two, also therefore my me has no nature as well. Like, whoa, that's going to take some cushion time. Because of this, that, when we have those first two, deeply, I don't want to say realized, because that means we've made them real and we can benefit from this before that. Deeply concluded, logically concluded. Then apparently this third one is not so difficult. My me. Is my me my body? We went through that before. No, me has this body. Is my me my mind? No, me has this mind. It seems like me is something separate from the body and mind. That's why we're looking. I hope it's getting more and more obvious that that's not true, right? It's not possible, but we sure believe it is. And that's why we're looking, because if the me is separate from the body, then it needs a body that has its own separate nature for it to use, doesn't it? And then if we just showed ourselves that there's no body like that, there's only the body my karmic seeds are ripening. Well, doesn't it take a me? Doesn't a me have to be part of every karmic ripening? So how can there be a me that's separate from the body that has no nature, and the me have some nature of its own? How can I have a me over here independent of my seeds ripening? That's what it means to be self-existent. To have a self-nature means something that exists independent of a projection. If I put it like that, it's just absurd, isn't it? You can't have a me independent of a projection. You have to project a me in order to be a me. Silly to even think of it. But when I first said it, Oh, so because your body has no self-nature, your me has no self-nature. It was like, no, that doesn't prove anything. Because our body is nothing but projection. Our me is nothing but projection. Because a me independent of projection, how would we experience it? You're right. What does our mind say? Wait, I am the projector. Yeah, but how do you know you're the projector without being part of the projection? Projection means to experience. Can you experience yourself without experiencing yourself? No, that's absurd. Can you project yourself without projecting yourself? No, that's absurd. But it's what we think when we say, I'm a me, independent of my body, so that I have a body and I have a mind. That's as absurd as saying, I can experience something outside of a projection. But come on, whatever you're experiencing in your room right now, those are all projections, right? But think about your grocery store. It's not in your immediate experience, but we believe it's there. And we would say it's not part of my projection right now, but it's there. And it's like, you're just talking gibberish, Sharani, because to think of it makes it part of your projection right now. So it's a valid projection. So that grocery store you're thinking of does exist as a thing you're thinking of, but does that make it on the ground there? We can't confirm till we go there. And then when we do, we think, see, it's in it from it because there it is. And it's not in it from it, there it is. It's there because you're there. But that leaves us like, whoa, wait a minute. That means there's nothing there until I step into it. It's like, no, projection's happening. It gets really slippery. The wrong conclusion is I'm the only existing thing, and my projections are making everything. Why is that a wrong conclusion? Because it's implying that I'm outside of it and sending it forth, when in fact, I'm right there in the middle of it, part of it, part of every projection. And then where do those projections come from? How that me, who's the camera being what do you call it? Recording and playing. It's happening at the same time, but at these different levels, right? This is getting recorded, this is getting played. We record how we react to being played. And technically, that's our me. The recorder and the player and the interactor. There always has to be a subject side there. And that's the conclusion we're getting at when we see about this body and no attachment to the body. Well, then my self-existent me that I thought was the one that had those things, that just has to be part of every experience. So my attachment to my me, right, that can shift as well. It doesn't mean you'll ever not be your subject side, right? You will not always be this subject side, but you will never be somebody else's subject side. It's always your subject side. But as our wisdom grows, we come to better relate to the fact that without an object, there could be no subject, and without a subject, there could be no object. And without those two, there's no interaction between. So there's always subject-object interaction between, because there's one right now. There will always be. So when we prove to ourselves that our own me is nothing but projections, and our reaction to that is, wow, cool, then I can create myself into Buddha. That's when we make this connection between my kindness, right, my behavior planting moment by moment, and this end of suffering for everybody. Reaching the not self-existent me is a critical piece. And this is one way to get there, by investigating the body. Close recollection of bodies. All right, let's take our break and we'll do the deep awareness of feeling in a similar way.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
I don't know if I can describe it very well, but I tried. So how can I handle the moment or the situation that I know everything is a concept or an projection, and I have words like five heaps and all these words that I can read here in this text. So it's also a concept. So how can I handle this? So is this one something like on a ladder, a step to come to emptiness? Can I describe it like that?
Yes, each different object of projection is an opportunity to investigate our belief in the object having some nature of its own, some quality, something about it that's identifying itself, and then check to see whether or not that's really possible. So any object we choose to investigate is a doorway to recognizing the lack of self-existence that we think is there. And that's the thing's emptiness.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are we back? So this one is the deep awareness of feeling. Again, not emotions, but the thumbs up, thumbs down aspect of our experience. And I find it difficult because it's supposedly second less obvious to us than our physical body, but man, it's hard to find and hard to pin down and hard to hold the same long enough to really look at it. Because what I do when I'm sitting there, I'm looking for something to react to. And my mind bounces around between what it hears outside and what it feels in the body, and it's like, will you just find something and sit on it with either a thumbs up or a thumbs down? And the mind goes, no, right? Because this one's thumbs up and that one's thumbs down, and dude, just stop it. Let's find one. So in Geshe-la's example, like as I try to share this and having worked with it a little bit, it's like his example seems more like he's talking about working with something in the fourth heap, which is our judgment about an object that's pleasurable or unpleasurable. He's not really taking his group through just the attraction to something or the repulsion of something, but that's really the subtlety, seems subtle, that we want to be working with. So it's got 4 steps to it. And then I'll do my best here. So the first step says we deny that the feeling itself has any nature of its own. So again, it doesn't mean you sit down on your cushion, find a feeling and say, no, that has no nature of its own. It's we investigate to come to the conclusion the feeling that I thought had some nature of its own can't have any nature of its own. And so first we sit down and find a feeling, either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And so one way to do that is to imagine some circumstance that either is something we would be attracted to or something we would be adverse to. And the tendency in this tradition is pick something unpleasant and work with your unpleasantness, because it's unpleasantness that makes us react badly, and yet pleasantness misunderstood makes us react ignorantly also. And it can be useful to figure out, how do I perpetuate pleasantness? So don't ignore pleasantness. I'll use the example of something pleasant. But Geshe-la's example was, imagine, right, you're in the hot seat, the boss is yelling at you. And it's unpleasant. Just at the unpleasant stage, we identify that sensation. This is unpleasant. And we look first simply at whatever it is, the experience is that we're calling the thumbs down. Is it a sensation in the body? Is it something in our mind? Identify that experience. And then we look. Is that experience, that raw data of that experience, necessarily a thumbs down thing? if it's a thumbs down thing in it, from it, and I'm experiencing it right now, then it it what could make it change? If it's in it, from it, it means it's independent. And if it's independent and there it is, I'm stuck with it. If my conclusion, it's in it, from it, like I think it is, then the logical conclusion is I'm going to have it forever. And that's not consistent with experience. We know that those thumbs down feeling from the boss yelling at me are eventually going to go away. We have all these reasons because the boss is going to stop yelling. Well, if that feeling's coming from the boss, the feeling itself is not in it, from it, it's in the boss. If the feeling can change, it can't have its identity in it, from it, the way we believe it does. So then we go, well, I never really thought it was in it, from it, because I always knew it was going to change. But while I had it, I was so sure that those sensations, whatever it was, I'm calling thumbs down, were really thumbs down. And that means I should do anything I need to do to make it change. So if we believe we can do something to make it change, then it means we don't believe it's self-existent. And it seems absurd to have to point that out to ourselves, that we're inconsistent in our belief. Yes, it's in it, from it, independent of my behavior, but I can do something to get rid of it. I can yell back at the boss, and that will get rid of this ugly experience. All the while believing the ugly experience is there, so I have to react to it. Do you see? If we could recognize, whoa, I know that this ugly experience is going to change. These sensations don't have to be ugly experience. These same sensations don't have to be unpleasant. And if that's the case, why do I have to do anything to try to get them to go away? Just let them sit there. They're not going to kill me. They aren't really hurting me. I just think they are. Now, what if the person's coming at you with a knife? This is an unpleasant situation. I'm just going to sit here and not do anything about it. You could do that, but that's not the point, because it's not about letting the yelling boss or the person with the knife continue to hurt themselves, right? It's not that we sit there and don't do anything. It's to recognize that those feelings don't have to be compelling me to act in the habitual way to get rid of it. Maybe those feelings are telling me, disarm that person with the knife because they're my mother, they've gone crazy, right? Call 911, drop my purse, pull the fire alarm, do something. Not to get rid of the ugly feeling, but to protect the other person from causing harm, whether it's my harm or somebody else's harm. Ordinary me reacts from the feeling and thinking what I say next is going to get rid of the feeling. And usually it does, right? But no, it never does. because what you do in the moment doesn't bring what comes next. So if what we do in the moment does seem to change that feeling, it's not because of what we did in the moment. Even to be kind in the face of that ugliness isn't what changes the ugliness in the moment. It's because the ugliness was just seeds ripening and the seeds wore out. And then when we used it to compel ourselves to act differently than our automatic pilot, differently being kind, more kind, we've planted new seeds, which means we've burnt off those seeds for that ugly feeling and not replanted more seeds for a similar ugly feeling. We've planted seeds for a pleasant feeling. But then what if we say, okay, pleasant feelings I like, so pleasant feelings I'll let be self-existent. I don't want them to go away. But same logic would hold. I want to keep those pleasant feelings. And I think that the boss telling me how wonderful I am is the cause of the pleasant feelings. And so our conclusion is, I'm going to do all the kinds of things that the boss likes for me to do, even if it might mean lying to somebody, because the boss will say nice things about me and that will feel good. But is the sensations of feeling good, are they necessarily, right, pleasant? In the same way, were those sensations necessarily unpleasant? Are those sensations necessarily pleasant? Who wants to deny that? I want them to necessarily be pleasant. But we can't relate to our pleasantness as self-existent and unpleasantness as not self-existent and make the transformation to being a being who creates only pleasantness for everybody. So it's got to work both ways. So first is just the feeling, the sensations of the feeling that get the label feeling. That seems so subtle to me, but they say it's quite obvious. Anyway, you tell me when you find them. Second step, we deny that the causes of our feeling have any nature of their own. So in the angry, yelling boss, no, criticizing boss, right? In the criticizing boss feeling of thumbs down, we think there's something in the boss's criticism that makes that feeling. So if we go looking for what is it in the boss that's making this my thumbs down, if I can blame the boss, then the thumbs down's not my fault. And that whatever I need to do to shut the boss off, that will solve my thumbs down. Which is why we're going to look, because if it's true that the boss is the causes of thumb down, then it should be true that if I erase the boss, I'll erase the thumbs down. And if it's not true, then blaming the boss just perpetuates my belief that I can be meaner to the boss than she is to me, and that will make me feel better. And unfortunately, sometimes it seems that way. But it can't be that way even when it seems that way because what we do in the moment doesn't bring what comes next. But that means what we're experiencing in the moment doesn't bring this. Wait, no, what I'm experiencing in the moment is what I'm experiencing in the moment. So can that other boss, can the bosses criticizing me be the actual cause for this thumbs down feeling? Why not? We can say other people hear her criticizing me and they're happy about it. Yeah, but if they were being criticized, they would be unhappy about it. Could there be anybody for whom being criticized is not an unpleasant experience? Whoa, probably so. I could imagine some extraordinary person saying to their boss, I want you to point out every wrong thing I do so that I can improve myself. And then every time the boss actually did point out a wrong thing, they'd go, wow, thank you so much. That's the best. I can imagine it. Can I do it? No, but I can imagine it. And thinking back when in my younger days, I was an athlete. I've told you that story, right? I played volleyball and I had to learn how to play volleyball. And so I made a lot of mistakes learning. I was the setter on the volleyball team. And so like I was the one that really directed the whole game, who was going to hit and what, right? And it's like I had to learn how to do it and I made lots of mistakes. And my coach would say, you know, you're doing it this way, do it like this. Turn your feet like that. Point your face like that. Right? That's criticism. But it was, I just sucked it up. Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And it's like, oh my gosh. Criticism isn't always a bad thing. So how can I blame the boss when it's my reaction to her telling me what I did wrong that's making my instead of, wow, tell me more? Does that mean in the midst of an unpleasant, we can all of a sudden go, oh, wait, I can see this differently? Technically, we could, right? We could get this flash of awareness and go, wow, boss, I never thought of it that way. Thank you so much. I actually didn't do it like that, but now I understand better. Thank you. And then what happened to those feelings? Oh, they changed. No, our interpretation of them changed. So how self-existent is the bosses criticizing me, causing my thumbs down? If I can even think through a scenario in which, wow, this is really a good thing. As our on the cushion meditation tool for showing ourselves, no, there's nothing in the boss and their criticizing that's making this thumbs down experience. That whole experience is my experience. Where do my experiences come from? Is the boss outside my experience? Imposing on me an experience? No. My experience includes me, boss, criticism, feeling, how I'm going to react. All of that is my projected experience. No nature of the boss hurting my feelings with these words that she's saying. Right? This is just one method. Any method that you choose to use to investigate the object's unpleasantness, the object's contribution to the unpleasant feeling is what you're looking for. To come to your own conclusion, it's like, no, there's nothing in them from them that's making this happen. It has to be unique to my experience. And if it's unique to my experience, it's my result of my cause. So what am I going to do about that? Mm. In this section, Geshe-la went into describing the three factors that must be present in order to have a feeling. No, not in order to have a feeling. The three factors that are present in every experience that are the factors to investigate for their own nature. So it's really a version of the three spheres. To have an experience of thumbs up or thumbs down, there must be an outside object that we perceive. There must be the sense organ through which we perceive it. And there must be the awareness of the sensation that the sense organ, right, is introducing, I guess. And when these three convene, we have a feeling that towards it or away from it. So when we are investigating this feeling, we want to investigate the feeling itself, which we did already, the object from which we think it's coming from, and the awareness of it. To check to see where the feeling actually gets triggered. So Geshe-la said, let's use a milkshake. And I got to thinking, it's like, wait a minute, does anybody even drink milkshakes anymore? We call them smoothies. So I'm supposed to modernize my teachings. Here it is. We're using a smoothie instead of a milkshake, and I get credit for modernizing. Let's use your favorite smoothie. Like, what's your favorite smoothie? Somebody, anybody, give me a favorite smoothie. Natty, what's your favorite smoothie?
Oh God, I don't have a favorite smoothie.
I know, I don't drink smoothies either. What? Triple berry smoothie, how's that? I'll
Good.
hug it. So consider a triple berry smoothie. Does that outside object, the triple berry smoothie, have any nature of being delicious from its own side? No. Some people don't like berries. Some people don't like cold. Some people don't like smoothie. The fly doesn't know it's a triple berry smoothie. If its nature was in it, it would say, I'm a triple berry smoothie. I'm delicious. Everybody, even the fly and the ant, we have to see it that way because the smoothie said so. Absurd, isn't it? 2 is my ability to taste the deliciousness of the triple berry smoothie coming from their side. I have taste buds. Taste buds take information, give it to my taste bud consciousness that says, oh, triple berry smoothie, delicious, yum, let's have more. and more and more and more. But are the taste buds, do they have some nature of being able to taste? But wait a minute, they're taste buds. They're not smell buds, they're not eyeballs, they're taste buds. They have to have some nature. Or we wouldn't call them taste buds, we'd call them something else. But if they have their own nature, then they would always have to taste. And they don't taste until there's something to taste. So are they not taste buds until they're tasting? Or you can be a taste bud without doing what taste buds do, like just waiting? In which case, do they depend on their nature of being a taste bud only when they contact something to taste? And then what about somebody who has taste buds that can't taste? What about those self-existent taste buds then? What's a taste bud that can't taste, even if it has contact with something? It's like the taste bud thing called taste bud can't be a taste bud without our ripening projections, taste buds. And that projection can be taste buds that work and taste buds that don't work. And then if my taste bud is depending on something else to be the taste bud, then how can it be the cause of the deliciousness of the smoothie? It can't be the cause. Come on, I never thought it was the cause. I just thought it was a contributing factor, a necessary contributing factor. But then as I say that, I recognize my own mind is saying, right, and it has its own nature as a necessary contributing factor. And that's just an oxymoron. Either it's dependent on something else or it's got its own nature. You can't have both. So yes, our taste buds necessary to taste something are part of the projection. But it doesn't make them all of a sudden something in them from them. Technically, we should be able to taste with our eyeballs. We should be able to taste with our mind. If it's all projection, why can't I just think triple berry smoothie and taste it? Because my projection includes a physical thing that needs taste buds to taste. But just because my projection includes all of that stuff, does that make the feeling somehow self-existent? The triple berry shake will always give me the same amount of pleasure. No. Okay. Taste buds. So then what about the awareness of the shake itself? There has to be an awareness that takes the information that comes up with, oh, triple berry smoothie, delicious, enjoying, happening. Is there an awareness that's hanging out over here? And then the smoothie goes down the hatch, and then the awareness goes, oh, smoothie coming. Nice. Is our awareness there waiting for the next thing? If so, then there's some moment in time in which nothing's happening. but our awareness is sitting there hanging out, waiting for the next thing to happen. How could that be? Awareness has to be aware of something to be awareness, doesn't it? If we have a self-existent awareness, it doesn't need to be aware of anything. Then why call it awareness? If we have a self-existent awareness, not aware of anything, sitting there independently, how could it ever become aware of something suddenly? What's going to make it change from aware of nothing to aware of something if it's existing independently all there by itself? It can't. If we're aware of something now, and we are, and it changes, which it does, then our awareness itself depends on things to be aware of. And we're never not awareing something. It's always shifting, shifting, shifting. So how does all of that help us be patient in the face of unpleasantness? Or how does it help us perpetuate pleasantness instead of just suck it up, use it up? If we just stop at, oh, nothing exists in the way that I think, and we just leave it there, it doesn't help us much. We need to go to the next question. It's like, well, then why do I experience it the way that I do? Not how, but why. If it's all experience, my experience, then there must be a reason for why I'm having the experience I'm having. Results of causes, not worldly causes, but results of the cause planted in our own mind by way of what we've previously recorded by me perceiving itself doing towards other. Subject, me, doing, experience, other, object. Subject, object, interaction between. Happening constantly. Even when we're all by ourselves, there's subject-object interaction going on. Each one, I want to say dependent upon the other, but then that implies there's this one, there's this one, there's that one, they all interdepend. And it's not this one, this one, this one, and karma makes it all come together. It's karma's ripening. And in every ripening, there's subject-object interaction between. In every planting, there's recording, subject-object interaction between. And so that is where creation happens, is in that reaction to the interaction, right? The experience is ripening. How we respond to the experience is also experience. But our response that we're aware of ourselves doing in face of the experience that's happening is where the imprint is being made. Because we've established that none of those three factors exist independently of our seed ripening experience, we show ourselves that therefore how I interact with those things create the circumstances for those future experiences. All right, we can come to the conclusion, we can close that gap between, oh, can't be self-existent, to, oh my gosh, results of my own past behavior. When we keep reviewing, trying to explain to ourselves this imprint, exprint idea over and over and over, explain it and then really check it out. Am I hearing my explanation accurately? And then check, because our own minds will still keep imposing something in it from it. And we want to find that and weed it out. All of that was step 2. We have a step 3 and a step 4 here. Step 3 in investigating our feeling is that we deny that the object of our feeling has any nature of its own. Wait, we already did that. We did that with the angry boss. We did it with the milkshake. It came as part of the investigation of the 3 spheres. Step 4 is we deny that the subject having the feeling has any nature of its own. That's the me side. That's the critical piece of all of these, is to come to work our way down to the conclusion that the me that I thought was outside this whole process is actually a part of it. If we show ourselves that all the different aspects of our experience don't have their own natures, and so therefore depend upon our own projected experience of it. We've done it with every aspect of experience. The last one to do it with is me, our me. And we're so familiar with trying to find the self-existent thing and showing ourselves that that's impossible. And that therefore what is there is results of my behavior. We'll be able to do it with our me with greater confidence, less fear, that commonly comes up when we're looking for the me that we believe exists and coming to find that it doesn't exist. If we haven't gone through these other factors first, when we go looking for our not self-existent me, we will hit a wall that makes us believe that if I show myself there's no self-existent me, I will see that there's no me at all. And it's not true, but our ignorant me will believe it's true. And in meditation, it will kick us out. The first direct perception of emptiness we experience is our own emptiness. And that's a scary thing. If we still have this imprint that not self-existent me means no me at all. But we will have shown ourselves that not self-existent triple berry smoothie does not mean no smoothie at all. Not self-existent feeling good, feeling bad does not mean no feeling at all. It means the valid experience is forced by our ripening results. And that's true of our valid experience of our me. A no self-existent me is the all potential me to be anything for anybody at any moment. And that's Buddha me and Buddha paradise emanating. We can create it because of our no self nature. So we investigate If everything about my experience is nothing but projection, and my me is part of every experience, then my me is nothing but projection. And woohoo, instead of egads. So our task is to watch our own personal reaction to the I am not self-existent and see if you spiral down to, well, then what am I? Or if you spiral up to, wow, let's create, right? Which requires kindness, 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 kindness. Not just being nice, right? Being kind, wisely kind, follow our vows, and keep our books, track our behavior. We'll stop blaming others for anything that happens to us, both good and bad. We'll understand where things come from and what to do with it. So it takes practice. It takes training. It helps to have a coach. It helps to have instructions. That's what we're doing with these courses. Our feeling and discriminating comes so quickly. And it's at that point where we make our behavior choices. When we can make our behavior choices at that point, at the simple thumbs up or thumbs down, and apply our growing wisdom. We're planting our seeds in such a different way than when we are on automatic pilot, that even if we can't change our behavior dramatically because we're trying based on our growing wisdom, our new seeds, even if they're puny, are actually tremendously powerful. They will feed our ability to do it more and more. So little bitty efforts are worth trying. So then, will our feelings eventually go away? No. Buddhists still have feeling. Thumbs up, thumbs down. They don't suffer from them. Their Buddha feelings are all pure. They're called sakme. Non-Buddhas, well, that would get me in trouble. Sansaric beings, feelings are all sakche. Sakche means have impurities. Sakche, Geshe describes it as if you have a bowl of fresh water and you throw some dog poop in it, that fresh water is now sakche, like impure. Sakme, the word does mean pure, but what it actually means is not impure. Buddha's experiences, Buddha's feelings are not impure. It's interesting, isn't it? Wouldn't you think they would call Buddha's experiences pure and our experiences not pure? But ours are impure. Ours are stained, and Buddha's are unstained. Any chance they get to take a concept in samsara and negate it, make it into an they do that. And it's done on purpose. And it's like once you're like recognizing it, you'll see it in the literature. And it's this very subtle imprint that's helping us be able to relate to emptiness, which is a sheer absence of something. without going down that rabbit hole of nothing, right? You can have a sheer absence of something and not have nothing. And it's like, it doesn't make sense. But these are little seeds that have been being planted in our minds to help us recognize Buddhas are unimpure. We are pure, impure. Buddhas are unimpure. Do you see? So we are not impure self-existently, thank goodness. So we can burn off our impurity to come to relate to ourselves and others and experience as unimpure. We can create it because we lack self-existence. We are I love the word understanding. Why wasn't it understanding or understanding? It's understanding. Okay. Every moment we are ripening results and planting new seeds. So every moment's an opportunity to create. We are already creating with every moment. We're doing it unconsciously, subconsciously. We can learn to do so consciously. And that's the point of all of what we're learning here. On our cushion, we go through these different factors to continue to build the imprints of this awareness that everything is my projected results from my behavior. So my behavior is where I create. Let's create a world of happiness for everybody to the best of my ability. I will fail. I will say something I think is kind and somebody's feelings will get hurt. I know what to do. 4 powers, right? Try again. We have the system. On our cushion, we dive deep. Off our cushion, we focus on how can I go through my world creating a better world for everybody in my own immediate sphere. Maybe all I have is flies and ants today, but every moment's an opportunity, which is really empowering. All right, that's our class 7. Thank you for the extra couple minutes. Let me stop share. We'll do our closing. So remember that being we wanted to be able to help. We've learned a lot. All of our courses, this one in particular, that maybe it doesn't seem like it, but we will use this to help them in that deep and ultimate way someday. And that's a great, great goodness. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy being. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please, please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom may. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person, to share it with everyone you love, to share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with loving kindness, filled with wisdom, and may it be so. Thank you, everyone. Roxana's birthday is on Sunday. Happy birthday, Miss Roxana.
Happy birthday. Thank you,
Sweet.
teacher.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Okay. So if you need to go, feel free. Yasheng has a question. Yes, Joanna, thanks.
Can I ask now?
Yes, please.
I'm trying to collect my mind. Bear with me. I think there's I think in general, wait, so okay, there was when we were talking about the emptiness of the mind. So did we say did you say like there were things and then we aware of that afterwards? So it's not like it's like awareness. So it's not awareing. So it's like our mind is awareness.
That's what we think.
So what's the Madhumika actually means?
That there's no awareness until there is awareing happening. But there's never not awareing happening. So there's never a moment there's not awareness. But there's not ever an awareness that's sitting there not aware, that suddenly becomes aware of something. But that's what we think. We believe there is a me and my awareness that sits here independent, and then things happen. But it's not like that.
And how about the so about the timing, like because how karma works is like the mind only says 3 things, one seed coming up together.
Right.
And do we also agree with that thing? Because you're also saying it's not like something first, so it's like all together.
Right, we do. High school does agree that everything's coming out of our seeds, right? The 3 subject-object interaction all come out of the same seed. But mind-only school believes that the seeds that those come out of, because they're functioning things, they have some nature of their own. Now it's self-existent, but they are a thing that those results come out of. And so those seeds that haven't ripened yet, they need a place to stay because they're things, ever so subtle. And so they need a place to stay while they're waiting to bring forth their subject-object interaction between, because functioning things have some nature of their own. And that's where mind only or middle way doesn't agree, that karmic seeds are not a thing that needs a place to stay. They are an explanation for this experience.
So we are more like things are in a flow, like it
Yeah.
just in a flow, like keep flowing.
Right, right.
I see.
And we are part of it. Our me is part of that flow. We're not outside the flow. We are me, 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 like the stream flowing.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Frank.
Mm. Because often I read it, or I think I read it very often. So what is the function of this double negation? So I read it very often, and I have the feeling, and it's hard to understand.
Right. Because yeah, to reach what's meant by the concept emptiness, we need to find the thing we think is there to reveal that it's not there. And that's different than just saying it's not there. Right? The straight negation would say, here's a pen, it's not really here. But the double negation helps us say, there's something here that's not there the way I think it is. Right? It allows for the appearing nature and the emptiness of it to, I want to say be simultaneous, but that's not quite right. It's that they are both necessary for either one. You can't have an emptiness without the emptiness being empty of something. And you can't have a thing that isn't empty of something.
Okay.
So it takes that double negative to get to the right concept of emptiness.
And for the example of not impure, so it's not the same like pure, of course. But
Right.
what is the missing part of not impure? So what is then left?
Right. So you take impure and you find the part that you think is impure about it, and you find that that actually is not there. So you end up with a thing that's empty. It's
Okay.
like the thinking of impurity in that way helps
Okay,
us understand the emptiness of impurity is pure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. It's so semantics, right? But it's seed planting semantics. Yes, Chris.
I just wanted to point out an aha moment that this is the first time I've ever understood the knowledge of good and evil and how they got kicked out of Eden and all that stuff. It's like, oh, ignorant liking and planting that first bok choc, and it's like, and I'm amazed there is no mainstream teaching that I can find. I don't know what's deep underground in philosophy and stuff, but there's no mainstream teaching that in the West that links those things, and it's all about fruit and disobedience and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
I love that.
So anyway.
Right. Yeah. Right. And my own thought about that is it takes a given individual time, a certain amount of time in our suffering before we are capable of hearing a teaching in which we get the personal responsibility for changing it.
So
right? Up until that point, if we had been told like all of that stuff is from your own personal choices, it would like, no, 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 that's too big for me. We wanted to have a God outside of us that we could blame things on. It was comforting and helpful, and it is still. But at some point, we recognize, wait a minute, even God was teaching us, take personal responsibility. And then we see it everywhere once we have the capacity. We see it everywhere. Thanks for pointing that out. Yay. All right. I'm stopping recording. Thanks for working so hard on all of this, you guys.